All right, friends, are we ready to work on a spot sprayer? I hope so, because that's what's going to happen right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Rusty Oliver Man. And last time we got our little spot sprayer out here only to find we had sprayer tank of sadness. I forgot about that. Last year it was a super hot day one day, and it actually like squeezed this. Actually being in the sun today has brought the opening apart. A while ago it was smashed together. It's like this leg melted to get pushed up, and it had water in it when this happened. I can't remember, I think it was full, and I guess the metal of the sprayer frame got so hot that it caused the plastic to sag, and it like did that. I don't know how that's possible, and now that I'm looking at it, it's way more aggressive than it was. Like it did not look like it was that far apart a while ago. So now I'm a little puzzled at what I'm going to actually do to fix it, because I brought some of this along. Plastic weld quick setting epoxy, and I thought that maybe it would do the thing for us, but I'm not sure. Ideally it would be probably nice to fold that piece of plastic inside up, but I'm sure it won't stay. I know what I could do, I guess, but then it's not going to want to stay in that shape. It's going to want to go back to this shape. I could put the ratchet strap around it and pull it together, is what I'm saying. And then what I might have to do is just buy a new tank. I don't know. That's kind of crap that it did this, because it's not that old. But I did not realize that it was... Like I said, I drained the water out, stood it up on end, took the cap off to let this dry out. And a while ago, it was just a tiny little crack in there, but now it's like changed shape again. So, I don't know, friends. I guess what I'll do is maybe we'll try to fill it up and then put a piece of plastic over it and then cover it over with that. I don't know. Not real sure. We're gonna do something. Anything's better than nothing, right? That's really bizarre that this would open up more. Sure. All right. I got that hole plugged. I had to do some things I'm not proud of, but I think it's going to be fine. That little piece of plastic needs to be trimmed off when it's dry, but I think basically it's going to slow it way down if it doesn't totally stop it. We can always put another coat on, but I used basically the whole tube of stuff to plug that hole and filled it back in flush. I've never used that type of epoxy before, so I don't know how it'll do. Now, wand. I didn't make it to the farm store yet. I might go here in a little bit, actually. I went to the hardware store in our town, and they had this, which was the closest to what I wanted, and it would work, except the tube will not fit the threads of that. So I could saw this tube off and stick it in there and use the stuff, and I think it would work, but I'm thinking I'm just going to wait and go to the farm store and buy some more of these. If I'd had more of that epoxy, I would have tried to seal that too and see, but I really don't want it to start leaking in my hand and, you know, my skin absorb hazardous stuff. So I'd rather just buy new ones. Some things in life aren't worth the savings of money. So that's where we are there. But I'm going to walk away from this right now, because I think that even though that epoxy, I don't know what I did with the wrapper, I think I just threw it away, but it said it sets up in like 5 minutes, and then it said it fully cures in like an hour, but it would be better to just wait. You know, let's wait a day, and then we'll try to use it. I mean, we definitely got the hole plugged. It's just I think it will be better for us if we just wait. We'll let the air go to it. Hopefully that it, I'm just looking to see. Some of the glue did run down in there, but it ran down in the recess of the leg, like it's hanging in there. So when it lays down, it'll be at the bottom. So it's not going to be a big deal until it breaks off in there and then ends up sucking up into the pump. But then I guess we'll buy a new pump, you know. And if this doesn't work, the tank by itself is $124, so I can just bend down and take it and get a new one again. But I'd really like to make this one go for a while yet, because it was working. I just can't believe they made this so thin that it would deform its shape. That's what I'm not really believing here. Like it deformed its shape totally. Like I don't know. So whatever, live and learn. We'll make it happen. But like I said, let's just let this sit a day and we'll try it tomorrow once all that epoxy is dry. And I think it'll be fine. So yeah. All right, friends, I'm confident in my leak repair. I think that's going to work, provided that the spray and that glue don't have some kind of negative reaction towards one another, wherein the spray eats the glue out and then it starts leaking profusely all at once. That would be kind of sad. Almost as sad as driving all the way to the farm store only to find that they did not have what you really wanted as far as wands go. I'll show you what's taking place here. So I had this kind that was cheapo aluminum style, and I actually liked it pretty great because it had a nice little trigger, and it was probably like, back when I bought it, 12 bucks or so. And if something bad happened to it, you could throw it away. And like I said, it's not quite, it doesn't mesh up with this, or I may now saw that up and try to make it mesh up. But anyway, the point of my story was they didn't have any. The next closest thing they had with a trigger, they had one that was, it was $44. But then they had one that was $54, and I'm not having that. They had this thing, which was $10. Figure that out. I don't know that this is going to work for what I want. The three that they had all had a garden hose style adapter. And so I bought the thing that adapts it down to my hose. So I don't know if my little pump is going to put out enough to make her go. But we're going to try it. So we're going to hook this up. We're going to fill it with water. We're going to try to spray the water. If it looks like it'll go, we'll go. I don't like this because it doesn't have a trigger, and a lot of time you're doing this one-handed. But I might really like this if it works, because I think if you just turn it on and open it up like this, it'll just keep spraying and life will be grand. And it maybe you won't have to sit there and, you know, as long as you hold. I can always shut it off with this electric switch, but that's just another operation that you have to perform with a third hand that you don't have, you know. Got a third leg, but I don't have a third hand, so I don't know. We'll see. Meanwhile, I believe my cousins are coming with a load of hay, so we're gonna have to take a pause whilst I do that. All right, we're back. Let's see if we can decode this. If I pull this up, it's got a plastic clamp that was holding it on, and I honestly don't know how I did it. I think I've reused that once, because I think this is the second or third wand I've had on here, but it's pretty good about not participating. There we go. Can we get this loose? No, we cannot. No, we cannot. Oh. There we go. All right. And I should have brought a bigger hose barb. I sadly assumed that it was the smaller size. Maybe we can get it with the clamp. We're going to be asking a lot of this. Nothing about this is what I wanted, and that's depressing, you know. Nothing about it. Alright, well, it looks like it tightened. Time will tell if it's right or wrong. Let's see if we can get this started, and then we'll back it up so we can fill it up. Let's let it sleep. There we go. We'll start it up again in a minute. I'm going to go turn on the water, and we're going to see if our tank holds, and then we're going to try our wand out. All right. Preliminary looks look good. I mean, I don't see it running down. I did spill some water on it, or when I moved the hose around, and so if there's a drip or two from that. But it was leaking out of this corner, and I no longer see that, so that's good. I guess the real tell will be when it's full, under full pressure. All right. Now, I don't know that there's enough yet, but yes, there is. Okay, so I can shut this wand off by turning it. There, it shut off. Okay, we can live with it. We can make it work. It's not ideal, but and the reason I say it's not ideal is because you're trying to drive the tractor with one hand and then use the other hand to run the spray gun. But this way, you're gonna have to use both hands, get the spray gun set like you want, and then keep driving. And then if you got to shut it off in a hurry, you got to take your other hand and hurry up and turn it and shut it off. And that's not the ideal way, but that's the way it's got to be. I mean, it's the way it's got to be. I can't help it. That's how she goes. So we're going to fill this up, and I'm going to run one load through it and see how it does. And hopefully, you know, our life is grand, question mark. I don't know. I mean, I'm getting tired of the weeds, friends. I don't like it. And every year I say I'm going to keep up on it and make it not happen. And then before I realize it, the weeds have grown out of control because we got busy planting or working on something for somebody or whatever. So, I mean, I got the perfect rig here to do it. I should have had it ready. Just, it didn't happen. So, although last year I didn't disconnect it from the tractor. So that was always kind of like the thing in the back of your mind, like, oh, I guess I gotta do that, you know. So, I don't know. I don't know that I'll bring you along for this. Maybe I will, I don't care. But we'll see if we can spray some fence lines and stuff and maybe try it out. So, that's what we'll do. Forgot to record. It works okay, but like I said, it's kind of inconvenient to juggle hands. And then now I throw a camera in the mix. That's even more inconvenient, but it's working. I mean, I'm impressed with the distance that it has on it. You can adjust it to a pretty far jet and reach far away things, but I don't know. I kind of miss the trigger style thing. And basically, if I bought the $54 one, I would have this combined with the trigger, but I don't know that it's worth $40 more for a trigger just to do what I'm doing. Once you get it set, like in this instance, what I'm doing right now, it's not bad. I mean, you can just let it run and then make sure you step on the clutch if it gets ahead of you. But also, I'm probably about out of spray, but we'll see how good a job this does. I hope this footage will turn out right, because I keep having to steer and move the camera then. I really wanted to get a clutch put in that 1250A so I could mow with it, because then I think I could have got closer to this fence. And then when I mowed these two strips, it would have been not as much of this left behind. The dog. You come running as soon as you hear the camera beep, don't you? You're something else. Yes. Friends, I don't know where this video's headed with stuff, but I mean, I've been spraying the heck out of this little thing. I've ran probably 4 or 5 tankfuls through it, and it hasn't leaked a drop. My repair, you know? So that's pretty snazzy. If you couldn't tell from the video, when I did it the first time, I actually used the lid of a Gatorade bottle and cut it to stuff it in that hole, and then epoxied it all shut. And it seems to be working very splendidly. So you can't ask for much more than that. I don't know where these came from. Did they blow off the trees, or did they? They might have come from when I was spraying along the woods. I don't know. But the little 500 here, friends, I can't say enough good stuff about it. This little thing is, I just like this little tractor. It's super handy size. This one actually has power steering, which the people overseas told me that over there, a lot of theirs did not have power steering, because that wasn't the kind of thing that they really spent money on. But I mean, I guess it has power steering. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just steers so easy that I don't think it is. I guess I was mistaken, friends. All this time I thought, yeah. So that's a testament to however they built that, because I thought it had power steering, as easy as it turns. But anyway, that's not important. The little thing is just, I don't know how to describe it. It's just In a lot of ways, I like it better than a 550 or a Super 55. It may be a little bit harder to get on, but once you're on there, it's super comfortable. And right now, this one is set up really narrow, so it can go about anywhere you want to go. And I don't know. I mean, it's just a good little tractor. I see why the hype, you know, about them. I always wondered why even mess with this when they were already making a 550 that was a very similar size. Like, why even bother to import these? And people said, well, yeah, it's cheaper, but we actually looked up on the sales sheets, and they were not that much cheaper according to what we saw than a 550. So I don't know. The story I always heard was they really wanted them because it has a diff lock, you know, and that's what Americans wanted, and they didn't have in the 550 or Super 55, so they started importing little foreign tractors because they had diff locks and it was easier than tooling up to make it. But yeah, like I said, I don't see it from a cost saving measure that would be the primary reason of why they would do that thing. But I will say, like I said before, the little foreign diesel engine just runs like a top, and it doesn't hardly use any fuel. And that's something I never figured out why over here it seems like they just weren't quite as refined as what they were overseas. Because all of these little foreign diesels, whatever the brand of engine, they run forever and they don't hardly use any fuel, and that's pretty nifty, especially for a job like this. Like, I don't know that I've ever put fuel in this tractor, maybe once, and it's still got, I would say, half a tank left in it, and I've had it for several years. So I mean, take that for what it's worth. I guess they're not for everybody, but I do like them. So if you see one of these sitting in the weeds, definitely save it, drag it out of the weeds. And it's the same as a David Brown, so you can find the parts if you're patient. But it's I don't know, and this particular one is a very good original. Like, it's not been neglected too awful much. The worst thing they did was obviously they had it in a shed where one side was more exposed than the other, because the one decal is more worn than this other one, and the hood has, like, this part of the hood is not the greatest. So wherever it was being stored, it wasn't the best conditions. And then I have a feeling that the guy before me just left it sit outside, because it just has that look about it, like it was taken care of for a long time and then it was neglected. And I need to flitz it again and wax it, polish it, wash it, whatever, and then finish tinkering with it. I mean, I've gotten it a little bit better and then started using it all the time, and that's where it ended. But you know, a lot of them were missing all the battery box stuff because that all rotted away. This one had it, other than the fact that I bought 2 new lids from Nelson when he was still alive. But he came down and saw this tractor and was amazed at how much stuff on it was exactly the way it's supposed to be, you know. Original top link. In there somewhere in the toolbox or whatever, I have the cover that goes over the PTO, and it's still got remnants of the draft sensing cable. The muffler is original, which you don't ever see one like that anymore. It was rounded on both ends, and it's got a little like cone that goes down over the thing. That's totally original. It's just a neat little horse, and it's comfortable, really. Once you're on there, I don't know that I want to say it's more comfortable than a 550, but it's pretty comfortable. The only thing we really need to do to this tractor to make it right mechanically is we need to take that apart and tackle that in there. That's not adjusted right. And when we were down in Kentucky and I was talking to David and he was showing me on his, there's problems in that box, because on his you could lift it up and you could hear it click, and that click was the pump shutting off. On this one, the pump doesn't want to shut off, and you have to back down on this handle a little bit till you hear the pump shut off, and then it'll hold, but it won't act like it's trying to lift. So we need to do some figuring out there. We also need to do some figuring out on the charging system, because it doesn't really charge, or it doesn't charge enough to keep up, I don't think, because my battery is now dead. So we need to figure that out. But the light, it came on one time when I had the tractor at a low idle, and when I revved it up, the light went out. So I thought it was charging, but I don't know. I mean, we're gonna have to figure that out too someday when we get time. We just don't have time, friends. Batteries, I probably said that before, but it's actually, I've got a dummy setup in place. Instead of having 2 batteries, what I did was I ran that cable you just saw up here to this cutoff switch, and then from the cutoff switch I used the original battery cable and go around to the battery, and then from the battery go on my happy way to the starter. And that's how it is. So it looks original, but it's really only 1 battery, so that's less to maintain there. But 1 battery starts it fine whenever it's charged up. And like I said, it runs all day. It just, I don't know, it just wants to give, you know, friends. They're just the cutest thing. And we've got that 600 high crop we need to do something with and get it going. I've been accumulating parts slowly in the background so that we could have a video where we actually could accomplish something, because some of these parts you have to really hunt for. But I've got enough stuff to put the fuel system back right, the charging system back right. I've got part of the stuff it's going to take to put 3-point hitch back on it, because for some reason they took it off and have it plumbed up weird. So we'll figure all that stuff out hopefully in the future, because I like these little tractors. I don't know why some people frowned on them for years. You know, these and the little Fiats people would just look down on and say, oh, they're not real Olivers, whatever do. Well, they might be better, friends, because they really are well-built little machines. I mean, as far as utility tractors go, just like that Iseki we worked on. Those Isekis were basically trouble-free tractors. And the same way with like Alice Chalmers, they used some of those Japanese-built tractors like 50-20s, 50-30s, whatever. You don't see parts tractors because they never wear out. They're still working. They keep going. I mean, they're practically indestructible. So that's the thing about it, you know. I do see some fluid down in here though. I'm wondering if it's leaking something, or if that is like, maybe that was my imagination. I see a puddle in there, but it's not as big as I thought. Huh. I don't know what that is. I guess it's possible that rain could have got in there, maybe. It could be engine oil. I don't know. I just saw a shiny spot, but it's actually not that big. So that's okay. We do need to, though, one of these days, service this thing and do all that. We could have a video all about that. The only thing that I'm not sure about is, I'm not sure about my ability to get these fuel filters. I don't really know what's in here. And it makes me nervous to take stuff loose if I don't know if I can get the thing that goes back in there. So I need to do a little more research in parts books and see if I can cross the number over to like a Napa number. I know I can get the oil filter, but like I said, the unknown. This tractor was a runner, so I never really did anything to it other than start playing with it and do a little cosmetic stuff to it and a little bit of, you know, whatever here and there. But like I said, it's, for what I'm using it for, it does the job great, friends. It is just a cute little feller, and I would like to have a gas one, I think, just to round out my, well, if I actually wanted to have all the models, I would have to have a gas one, 500. I would have to have a later model 500 that has the 6-lug wheels, which was diesel only. And then I would have to have a 600 lower down one and whatever. And then they did actually make a 500 high crop, so I could have one of those. I think it'd be like 4 or 5 more to have the whole set of variations, but I don't know. After seeing those 2 of David's, I really would kind of like to have a gas one just to say I did. And he actually found one shortly after that, because I told him, and I don't know, he drove over and looked at it, and the old guy didn't want to come down on price, and the thing had been sitting outside, it looked like, for a while, and I don't know. I told him I don't think we can spend that, so we just let her go. It actually had a, I probably still have pictures of it somewhere, but the grill, this piece is obviously missing, and the guy had made a grill in there that looked kind of like that, and he didn't do a bad job. I mean, it was kind of respectable for what it was, but I don't know. Someday, friends, we'll find one, and we'll add that to our herd of things that sit here and do nothing, but sure. The only other thing I'm disappointed about these. I bought these rubbers and new lenses for these lights, and those rubbers don't hold up, friends. And it's really sad. And I caught it the first time when one fell out, and then one time I didn't catch it, but I think I found all of the lenses back. Yeah, because I bought all these brand new too, and they didn't, I don't know, they just don't make the rubber acceptably. So we need to try to order some more, and just order multiples and keep swapping them out. But the first winter did that to him, so I don't know. Well, we've rambled enough, friends. I don't know that this is a good video or not. Probably kind of a letdown video after the last one where you got to see a 2255, but I mean, this is also a nice tractor in its own right. Original 500, and where are you going to see another one of these around these parts? Not very close. I'm probably the only guy that's got one. A 500 and a 600 in a good radius from here, you know. The next closest guy might be Viewer David down in Kentucky. He might be the next closest place you could go to find one around these parts. So you may not be getting quality videos here, but you're getting to see stuff that you can't see just everywhere. So I guess that's where we will leave this one. Hopefully nobody complains about the spraying. I'm sure there's some kind of animal hugger, tree lover that's probably going to complain about me spraying fence lines, but basically 2,4-D is what I was using. So that doesn't kill grass, it kills weeds. So, and it's supposedly safe for the livestock to be on it immediately, but I never do that. I leave them out of there for a good while before I let them back in wherever I spray. So fear not, friends. I am not a big overuser of chemicals, I would say, compared to some folks. I try to limit the use so that it's not just all the time, because I think that probably is bad for the environment if you overuse them. But there's some things that got to be done, and one of them is keeping the fences clean, and this is the easiest way. So that's what we did. Anywho's, as always, friends, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. After watching what you just saw, do you feel like your IQ has dropped lower than your credit score? Well, there's no reason that both of us should be miserable, so go ahead and hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. That stuff costs you nothing, and it really helps me out. Your banker may not approve, but I know mine will. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.